Okay. So welcome back. We are Comp 397 in the winter 2022 semester at Centennial, and it is week 14. And for week 14, remember that let's go over a little bit, talk about what we're doing. So last week you guys did a bonus group lab. I think most of you did very well. I saw some great changes in some of your results after you did your optimizations, which is awesome. That's great. That's what I wanted. And it was a group lab, so that way it added on to anything that you've done before. If you missed a lab, this will be used to bolster your final grade in this course. So that way, if you miss something, you lose something else, but you get this as a bonus. This adds on to everything else you have. It's 2% bonus for your for you. So just in case you miss something. In terms of what we're doing this week we are doing our final presentations. That's what's due. Now, I don't expect you guys to present today, like I said last week, because I know that for some of you, you guys are mixing and matching between the two sections. Some people have members from section 400 or from section, how do we say this, section 1, and you guys are section 2. And so that's not fair for me to force you guys to be physically here and everything else and get it done. That's why we're allowing you to record your presentation and so on. So what we're doing today, there is no formal lecture like we mentioned last week. This week, all I'm doing is I'm just going to give you feedback on the stuff that you've been doing, you've been setting up for this week. So there's no formal lecture today. It's just feedback. So if someone is ready to show me their presentation, what we can do is we can start by going through your presentation, the actual, what you're going to do and what you're going to submit by Friday, if I'm not wrong. As Friday is the last day, that is when your presentation is due. On that, one thing is your final code version is due tonight at midnight. And the reason for this is because yesterday was Easter Sunday. And so, we've had to move it over so that today you have an extra day to do any kind of tweaking or anything else you're going to do. So if I give you feedback, then today's the day to get that done. Okay, so that's for people that are here, or even for people who are scheduled for the Friday. So again, there's no requirement for you to do the presentation live, although it'd be nice if I see your presentation and give you feedback. Did you submit? Sorry. Yes, you can do that. Is that for which one is that meant? Is that for your final work, or is that for a previous assignment? Good question, Gurkadat. So the answer, Gurkadat's asking if for our final video, for the demo and for the final presentation, remember there's two parts. The presentation requires some slides and that kind of stuff. Does everyone need to be a part of it? The answer is no. There's only one person that's required to actually present, and the reason for that is because there might be one of you might be a better presenter than others. And that's why I've always made it so that you use your best presenter as opposed to just checking that question mid. So that's the answer. The answer is you can use whoever you want, to present. You don't have to all be presenters. And sometimes, actually, quite often, it is far better for you to have one great presenter than 4 mediocre ones, or even the difference in style. Example, let's suppose I'm going to use someone, here, Doyun. Let's say Doyun and I are presenting together. We have a project, but we have very different styles. Maybe Doyun is just better at it than I am, or he has a very different approach to the way he does his presentation than me. If we don't hand things off properly, it could make it so that our presentation quality goes actually down, not up, right? So the answer is, I always recommend, especially for game presentations, to use your best presenters, the people who want to present, the people who like to present, the people who are good at presenting, that kind of stuff. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Gurkadet. In terms of MIT, yes, you can certainly resubmit tonight. It's open until midnight, so you can do that as well. Any other questions related to the assignments, those kind of things before we go on with the presentation examples for today? All right, so what I'd like to do now is I want to, for those people who have some part of their presentation ready, the slide deck, as well as anything you want to show me in terms of your game, we can certainly go over it. I'll give you preliminary feedback on your final versions of the mobile version of your game that you've been making all semester. And then we'll go from there. I'll give you some good feedback, and then you'll have that, so any kind of tweaks or changes you want to make before Friday, you're well ready to do that. Okay. All right, so who wants to start? I'm ready for anyone. It doesn't have to be in a particular order. Okay, Jerome. There is not. Gorvir, did you want me to add one? Usually a peer review actually reduces marks. That's why I didn't ask you for one. I was going to do one, but then I thought about it and I was like, better not, because I've heard some, up and down things about stuff, but it's up to you, Gorvir. Is there a reason for it? That you want extra marks? Is that what you're asking? Let's before you answer that question, let's start with Jerome. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to make it so that Jerome or anyone else can share their screen. So Jerome, whenever you're ready, we're recording it. So, but just not because I want to record it, but just, so everyone can learn from some of the feedback and stuff like that I've told you, and then you can use that to make your project better. So go ahead, whenever you're ready, Jerome.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm using a Windows machine for this. So I'm not familiar with Zoom for Windows. So give me a sec.
So there should be a share screen button at the bottom of your app.
Okay, gotcha. All right, cool.
Yeah, when you press it though, if you want to share sound, make sure you also share sound. There's an actual share sound option.
Gotcha.
Click on share screen. You see it on the bottom left corner?
Yep. Okay. So.
All right.
So I think it's screen 2. Yeah, I think it's screen 2. Okay.
Starting. All right. There it is. Loose doodle.
Okay. So slideshow. So this presentation is brought to you by Garabatos Inc. That's us for Loose Doodle. This is for Comp 397 web game programming and the presentation part of it.
So you're going to do this again for Friday, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, wait, are we?
Yeah, you're just going to record.
Oh, I thought I meant live presentation. Okay.
No.
Okay,
just
gotcha.
record. Yeah, go on.
Yep. So these are group members. So our UI programmer, Andrea Navarro Zagara, lead software engineer, Doyoung Kim, general programmer, Huang Long Nguyen, general programmer, Jiang Leng Ding, and myself, game producer, Zhong Ching. Okay, so influence. So we have numerous ones. So first one is Gunfire Reborn. It's a low poly first-person shooter. And second one's Borderlands. So basically, we wanted to have some sort of sarcastic humor to it.
Yep.
Older Call of Duties, we find hit scan bullets just feel more consistent and better than physical bullets that has travel time. And Phasmophobia. So basically, the UV light for Phasmophobia that lets you see things that you don't normally see. We implemented that in this game.
Okay, wait, stop there. Stop. Yep. Go.
Okay.
I'm giving you feedback as we go. Okay. So first of all, presentations slides are good. Here in your influence slides, I would insert images.
Gotcha.
You know,
Right.
so get some images of Gunfire Reborn, Borderlands, your Call of Duty games that you like, and Phasmophobia. I would get images of those. Okay.
Okay.
Even better than images, if you have any kind of animated GIFs that you want to add in here instead, they actually add a lot more punch to your presentation. Go on, continue.
Okay. So game overview. So this game's a first-person platformer shooter. Game setting. So this game takes place in a dream world. It's a multi-level middle school, pretty much, North American school.
Yeah.
So targeted platform. So PC with mouse and keyboard inputs, and Android mobile Android mobile platform for.
Okay, pause. So again, what I would do is, if you're going to go this way, you could certainly do this slide this way, but more interesting than this, because again, think about your audience. If you're actually going to present this to in a game jam or something like that in the future, sometimes we do it that way. Then what I prefer for you is, if you're going to say game type, it's a first person platformer shooter, you could do a screenshot here. All right. You could also do in your game settings for that kind of stuff, you might want to have a sketch. Any kind of sketches you did for the game or anything like that might be good here, as well as for your targeted platform. You could have like multiple slides here. You don't have to do one slide. And you're still going to talk at the same pace, the exact same pace you just used right now, but just flip from one slide to the other as you go, so that it gives us more of a, it's in motion. I'm seeing your story build up as you go. So notice what I'm doing so far with the last slide and this slide is, I like the amount of points you have here, but it's better to have images as much as possible, because it's a visual medium. Go on.
Yeah,
Next.
I was just scared because like we have 10 minutes, right? So like I might not go through all the slides. So all right.
Well,
so,
you need, if you're gonna have slides you don't go through, then don't include them. See what I'm saying? You're gonna have a slide. If you have slides in there, they have to be important enough to include. And if you're gonna include them, even if they're like 5 seconds to include that slide, so we see an image, that image is gonna stick inside of our minds when we hear it, right? And it's gonna create a narrative for us, because that's what you're doing. You're telling us a story with your slide deck. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go to the
right.
next one.
So
Yep.
Story. So Jackie's a middle school student, dreaming of becoming an artist. Jackie draws a variety of doodles in their notebook. One day, Jackie falls asleep in class. Suddenly, the drawings come to life. Now, the protagonist must find a way to wake up and escape the dream world. And this is our level here, and this is Jackie here.
Great. That was perfect. Next.
Okay, mechanics. So the player starts has seven hit points to start with, a maximum of 8. That will become clear later on. Can shoot a water gun using the left click for PC or the X button for mobile. Can jump using a space button for PC and the up button for mobile. Can use a health pack if it's available to them, so by pressing 1 on PC or tapping the icon in mobile. Can pick up items, use flashlight to reveal hidden platforms, so pressing number 2 on a PC or tapping the icon for mobile. Can pause the game using the escape key on PC and tapping the pin button, the pin on mobile. So while paused, they can save, load, go to the main menu, or go to options.
Stop. So what do you think of this slide?
Pictures. A lot of pictures.
Not just that. I would break it up. Like, I think what you said here is good, but remember, here's the key thing for all of us. All of us do this. No one is going to read your slides. Only you. So the thing that you have to do is, if you're going to say the player has 7 hit points, show it. Show their 7 hit points. Take a screenshot of the player with their hit points. Can shoot a water gun by using left click. Show the water gun. Show the player shooting the water gun. Like, all that is a visual medium, right? So you want to, again, you're telling a story with your slides. Go on, next one.
Okay, so dynamics. So the player takes damage by running into hazards, so glass shards and chalk dust and cannonballs. Takes damage by getting hit by getting meleeed by enemies. Can dissolve drawings by shooting them with a water gun. Can use a flashlight to reveal hidden platforms or jump spots. Must collect key items to proceed to the next area of the game. Can double jump on walls with scratches on them, visible through flashlight. PC only for this one.
Okay.
For mobile, we just put like a hidden platform. The game. So you start off in a locked room, requiring the player to complete the tutorial quest. This game is linear, requiring the collection of items to proceed. Concludes by going through a wave-based shooter boss room and the end and entering a portal.
Okay, stop. Linear is spelled wrong. Make sure you check you do spell check before you do your slides. And again, it's the same. I don't want to be a broken record, but
Yeah.
it's the same here.
Okay, yep.
Go on
Break it up
next.
and put pictures. Yep.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's going to be better, right? So go on.
Yeah.
Aesthetic. Same thing
Aesthetic.
here.
Yeah, exactly. So the protagonist's name is gender neutral, so to make it relatable to everyone.
Yep.
Game level is made with low poly assets to minimize hardware requirements for mobile. Level art has an element of bright colors to highlight items. Has pastel colors color palette as a background color. An intimidating level layout to make it appeal to younger players. And UI made to appeal to children and anyone who likes cute assets.
Okay, so I like this. Also for your aesthetic, what you might want to include are things like concept drawings, like your more influences. So for example, if you had some of the influences that had the right colors, the right, or even screenshots of your actual game itself, this is a good place to put them because aesthetic, I mean, there's three parts of your aesthetic, right? There's the aesthetic that you have from the visual aesthetic, there's your audio aesthetic, what does that sound like? And then there's the feel of the game itself, which is you can't duplicate, right? So your visual, you can definitely show us your visual aesthetic, the moods, all that stuff, the colors, all that, the influences that you have, and even screenshots.
Gotcha.
Next.
Okay, so target audience. So target audience children between age 5 and 12. So in the ESRB rating is E for everyone.
Use an image of your ESRB rating.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, cool. Next. So this is our game demo. Should I play or how do you want me to proceed?
No, do it. Yeah, do it.
Yeah, so I'll be pausing it like as I go. So so come on.
And I'm glad that you've chosen a recorded game demo because less setup. You don't have to worry if it's going to work or not. You don't have to worry about who's going to do it or whatever. It's exactly what you should have. I highly recommend it actually for anything else.
So let's see.
You can also optimize when you're sharing on Zoom. You can also optimize for video.
Gotcha.
Which is an option.
Okay,
but anyways, go on.
This is our main menu here, so you can load game. So this is to load new game. You press this to load a game. Pre-existing game. You use this to exit. You press that, and this is our option button. I'll redo this thing later. This video later. So here you'll see this is our health bar right here. So you lose a limb every time you take damage. This is our to pause the button. You press this pin right here, and it'll show like the pause menu. This is to move, to look right, look left, and this is to move. For this video, I'll be using the keyboard just to make it easier on me. So this is the jump button, and this is the shoot button right here. So this enemy is like, so to teach the player how to play the game, this enemy will not be moving at all. It can't damage you at all. So like you can just shoot the enemy. So enemy's dead, so door opens. So now you gotta use the jump button to get this item right here. And now you have a health pack. So now you gotta use the health pack to unlock these two doors. So there you go. Tap it, open doors. So now kill this. So get the eraser. So that's the eraser right there. So I kill this guy right here. Yep. So now you gotta push this blocker right here. So it erases it, and eraser disappears. So now you gotta get the key. So the key is located like in the very top room right here. Yep, so kill this guy and get the key. So like here we left like notes on the boards just to give the players clues to what to do if they ever get lost. Same thing with like Same thing, with the flashlight, as you'll see later. So opens the door, get the flashlight. That's the flashlight right there. So kill these two enemies. Yep. And so here, what this flashlight does is when you press 2 and or you tap like the flashlight button, it like turns it on and off, and you can toggle. So here's the instructions right there. If the player needs it. So I fell on purpose right there. So I'm probably gonna save the game here. So like when, okay, so as you can see, like when I turn on the flashlight, this block appears. This block's for mobile version only. So like in the PC version, you got to double jump to get this item right here. So yeah, turn on the flashlight, you press that. The flashlight only stays on for 10 seconds at a time, so the platform can disappear on you at any time. So these platforms as well are mobile only platforms, just to make it easy on the mobile player. So same thing with this one, it's on a mobile platform. So, and this is the final level. So basically it turns into a wave-based shooter. So there's 3 types of enemy: a zombie, a gingerbread man, and a robot. So they spawn, there's 3 spawn points in this level, and they spawn, there's like a random amount spawning for each level. Like, yeah. And you'll see here how I'm looking for like enemies is like the mini map here. The broccolis are the enemies, and I'm the pencil right here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. Yeah, here I'm having a hard time like with like aiming and stuff. So let's turn that down a bit. So here's the bell. You're about to wake up. You go into the portal, and that is our game.
So really great stuff about it. Before we move on, so I think there's a lot of stuff that's really great about it, and there's some things you need to tweak. So things like your flashlight would be really nice if you had time. You don't have time, but if you had time, it'd be really nice if we saw that some kind of cooldown. All right, that'd be nice. So you turn your flashlight on, and then the flashlight basically, what you can't use it again, or you're showing it's gonna turn off. It's gonna turn off. It's gonna turn off. Some kind of feedback to the user that tells them that it's going to be out of use very soon. So that's one thing I'd recommend. I love the limb damage thing. That's a great idea. It'd be nice if it was when you actually took the damage that you somehow highlighted the limb for a short amount of time to show that you're taking damage, a glow, something. I didn't see that. Maybe it was there, but I didn't see that. And then it would have been nice also when during your demo to show what it's like to take more hits. So to see that the enemies are challenging. I'm not sure if how challenging the game is. Like, again, I haven't played the game.
That was actually a big problem for us, because like it was easy for like PC, but it was dead hard for like mobile, just like exclusive hard. So yeah. So okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
In my case, I send the game to like all my friends, well, at least like my close friends, and well, I mean, for us it's too easy because we know the path, but all my friends, they go to different paths and they took like a lot of damage. So I said like, okay, it is easy and it's for kids, so like it shouldn't be that hard, because well, my friends, they are gamers, so like they are like really good, and they still, because like with the broken glass and stuff, because like us, like we know what is going to like hit us, but like my friends that didn't know anything about it, like they were like, okay, it's fine, and especially if it's for kids. And the last in the roof of the school, like that part, like you can get like a lot. So
Yeah, no. I mean, I think if I was to play it, it would probably be way more difficult for me than for you. Absolutely. And I think whoever who did the actual walkthrough, was it you, Jerome, who played the game?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, you know where to go, you know what to do. So yeah, so the only two things that I say is feedback for damage. So when you take damage, I like your mini map. I like the pencil. I like everything that you've done in terms of style and all that kind of stuff. It's really great. And then the other piece is you know, the cooldowns for some of your stuff. The particle systems are okay as a prototype. You know what I'm saying? If you were gonna submit this as a prototype, like this is our idea, great, but it's something else to improve upon, I would say.
I was told that like the particle system takes like a lot of like resources. That's why I went like low, very low for mobile.
It can, but there's some really great low poly particles that you can also download that look like fire, that look like liquid,
Okay.
that look like all those things. So there's nothing wrong with what you did. It's just aesthetically it could be better,
Yep,
right?
I
I
know.
think there's something we can add later on. It doesn't have to be now. And again, I don't expect you to make. I'm expecting you to make zero changes, guys, from what you've done, because it's like we're at the end. But I think what you've proven to me from an evaluation perspective is that you've created the game that you wanted to make. I think that you've done that. Is there things you can there are the things you can tweak? Absolutely. We can all tweak stuff when we're making a game. But is it a cool game? I think it looks really cool, man. Really fun. So that's really good. And I love the you know, the younger theme, you know, your audience being, you know, the young audience that it is. So I think these are good things, man. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you guys have shown me so far. Any other slides?
Yep. So wait. Okay. So next. Okay. So lessons learned. Ask ahead of time for all requirements on all parts of the assignment. So we had to do a lot of things twice because like we didn't know like this the observant pattern had to be done, like it's have to be included, factory pattern, object pooling, that kind of stuff. Like it would have been easier like just to like tell us like, you know, like ask like what's required and like implement it like the first time around instead of like reshuffling everything midway through. Mobile game plays differently from desktop games. This was a big lesson for us. Yeah, I already talked about that. Communication is important between group members. So basically this keeps everyone in check and builds trust between team members. And this leads to this one, team dynamic is important. This just makes things a lot easier, especially when you're asking for help from other group members. So
Great slide. Best slide so far. That one there. This one's good too.
okay,
Go on.
future possibilities. So either concentrate on developing on PC or mobile, but not both. It's hard to do both. And make level 1 exclusive for tutorial as a tutorial level. Make level 2 a time-based runner platformer using all mechanics and assets from level 1. And make multiple levels with increasing difficulty. So basically the flashlight timer decreases, that kind of stuff. Include some storytelling either through text or cutscenes. And that's it. Pre-order now, 2033.
2032.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think you guys did a great job in terms of the stuff that you need from a text content perspective. The only, like I said, you've got my feedback in terms of images. I think you should rework the slides a little bit, just add some images to make them pop. In terms of your game demo, don't change a thing. And you've already heard my feedback on that stuff. I think, you know, how did you guys feel about it? Jerome and Doyun and Andy and everyone else who's on that team, right? How'd you guys feel about the whole project for you? Right.
It was challenging. Like it's not like the games, like making the game is challenging. It's like working with other people. Like suddenly like your code changes. You don't know what's going on anymore. Like you don't like touch the project for like 2 weeks and suddenly like everything's different. Like it's challenging. But like, yeah, it helps with good people around, right? So like you can trust them, like like if things are getting done.
Yeah, and you have a good team. You have a really good team. So, Do-Yoon, what's your comments? You can stop sharing, Drew.
Oh, okay.
For me, it was like one of those group projects like that you have like one or two in one semester where like you know that you're gonna enjoy when you're working with a team and stuff. So I really liked working with our group and stuff. Also, I like the game too, and yeah, it was pretty fun. We did have some trouble with communication and stuff, but I'm glad that like we got to the point where it's like resolved, and for the rest of the semester it was just smooth and good. Yep.
Awesome. Andy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I will have liked to have more time because
Mhm.
there are like a lot of things that I will like to improve in the game. So yeah, that is like the thing. But well, like I love the group, like my group. I think that they are really awesome and we communicate. So like in Discord, in WhatsApp, so like we were always like talking and stuff. So like I really appreciate that because this is like the first time that I'm on a group that is not Marvin and I, and that's it. So like I really like thanks to my partners. So we made this, and yeah, there are like a lot of things to improve, but I mean, like I like our game, I guess.
No, I think it's great, Andy. I think there's a lot of potential with what you've put together, and I think it's you know what, guys, there's nothing but I still think you guys should continue working on it. I think there's some really great opportunities for you guys. I know you're busy, and especially in the summertime, everyone is busy with other projects, and a lot of times what happens is with something like this, it gets kind of put on the wayside. But like I said, it's something that you can show other people and say, look, this is what we made. During our semester, and it's a mobile game, and it's WebGL, and it's all these other things, right? Um, so yeah, that's great. Thank you, Andy.
Well, that
Um,
is another thing. Sorry, the movement of mobile like is like really different than like on computer, like WebGL. So that is like a thing that I will want to read more about it and improve it because like yeah, and that is like actually really hard with the joystick, even what we did in the labs, because I have the all the games that we have done, like the lab in class and this one in my cell phone, and the mobility is like I don't know, like it is harder than computers. So I would like to improve that.
yeah, and some of the things you can do instead of using a joystick for your camera, like have a section that's dedicated to that, almost like a low and kind of the lower third of your screen, which is maybe on the right hand side or the left hand side if you're right or left handed, where you can adjust the position where you can kind of slide or swipe to do camera movements, those kind of things. A lot of times, always other things that people do is they have for mobile games they have automatic camera adjustments. So you adjust you kind of look to your right or look to your left. And what they do is they use scripted code so that your camera automatically moves up or down when you're climbing stairs. It does other things where you enter a room, and as soon as you enter the room, there's a cut scene where you can see to the right and to the left. So you get it kind of speeds you up in terms of how the game works, especially when you're a first person perspective game. That is where the challenge is because you're trying to look wherever the camera is looking, and it's much more difficult, like you saw with two joysticks on a mobile device. The gameplay itself has to really be worked. Like you have to work it, adjust settings, make sure that you try things out over and over again until you have that smooth feel. That's why some people also go with third person perspective games on a mobile device, because it's a point and click. I point there, the character turns and moves into that direction, and then the camera follows, right? A point and click, as opposed to you having to adjust for a first person perspective game, it's more challenging to make it work, right? So that even though it's easier because there's less to do, it's more challenging because the controls are, clunkier, right? Until you make them work properly.
Yeah.
All right, so okay, thank you for that. Any other feedback for their game? I think it's a great idea, but what about you guys? What do you think? The other people that are here.
Yes, perfect. I just want to share some of my thought in the group. My name's Hong and I'm a member in the group and one first thing I'm not a gaming student, so like Unity, everything is like it's trend to me. So
Awesome.
and I have to learn from the beginning. And on the first day, I thought like I should like left the class because I don't have a lot of like knowledge about Unity. But when I meeting like the teammate, like I really happy, like they helping me a lot, and then I still stick with them until now. So I feel really happy my assist time. So and
Great.
I want to big shout out, like I really thank you guys to helping me until this time. So.
That's so nice. That's very nice what you just said. That's amazing. And I'm really happy that you had a good experience, because at the end of the day, you know what? It's when you're not a gaming student and you're trying to learn game design for the first time, you're trying to learn about making a game and playing a game, you guys know now, is very different, right? We all love to play games, but making a game, holy crap, that's like crazy hard to do, right? And
Yes.
that's so nice what you said there. Very nice.
Yes. Yeah.
So thank you for that feedback for your teammates as well. Anyone else have anything else to add at all about this game before we move on to another one? And again, you can, this is pure feedback, so you can give your teammates any kind of feedback, things that you like, things that you make a recommendation on, anything that you want to say. That's why we're here anyway. Okay, if there's no other feedback instead of waiting around, let's go to another group. Anyone else want to show me their game? And anyone can do that. Anyone can go next. We'll go down the list here and see who's with us and talk about all the people that are here, and maybe someone else is also willing to share. How about Tatiana, your game? Okay, Joshua, no problem. Let's do it. But you don't have the power. You don't have the slide deck ready yet, right?
Yeah, hello, Professor. Yeah, our group didn't have slides yet, and no one present today. So I think
Okay.
maybe we will present on Friday.
Yeah, if you want to be here on Friday, I mean, again, even if you can, like you may, if that time is okay for you, okay, great. If not, then that's fine too, right? So.
Okay, thank you.
Joshua, it's okay if you have slides and you heard my feedback from the first group, they might apply to you, right? So that same feedback. So guys, general feedback for slides. This is an interactive medium, right? Which means you want to make it so the slides are, not business slides. The one thing I loved about the previous group slides it was custom. So it looked like the game. It was the doodle that was in the background. That was good. That was really good. Things that were missing were images and other animations and things that make it more interesting. And again, remember, when we're talking, even if it's for 5 minutes, you're telling a story, and you want people to understand what game you're making, right? So that they can see it in their head before they even see your game. The way you're explaining it and then your demo, there might be a disconnect. Like, hey, this is the game we're making. But then after we see your demo, then we see the actual game you're making. So then you can see the difference between one thing and the other. And your slide should kind of bridge the gap between our thoughts, what the game should be, and what the game is, right? The actual game it is. So that's where you want to go with it. But so far, really good from what I've seen. So Joshua, if you want to show us your game, just the demo part, but I can give you feedback on that part. Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Sure. Okay. So I'll share my screen real quick. I do want to quickly note that I'm actually going to be demonstrating an older build. And the reason for that is because the game, it really does not work as well on the mobile version. And so I've just checked out the commit for the WebGL build because I think it embodies kind of the idea of the game a lot better. And so there's some bugs that were fixed later on that are back to how they used to be. But I think it still is a better demonstration build. I've also muted the music for this just so you can hear me. So here is the game as I've set it up. The main mechanic of it is you have a shotgun, which one of the bugs on this build was that the shotgun wasn't being rendered. But when you shoot the shotgun, it gives a lot of knockback. And I spent a good while tweaking the knockback effect to be a good amount and be comfortable for platforming. It's something I'd want to tweak more still. But the interesting thing with it is how you can move around with it. And it's limited in the ammo in the center, so you can't spam it, but you can use it as a pretty powerful tool. And the ammo automatically reloads after a few seconds pass. So we have these enemies here that just hurt you when you get close and die in one shot. Those are still pretty basic. And then the med kit I picked up over there, which is another one as well. A simple mechanic of just it heals you for all the health all the damage you've taken. So I can also jump in the spike here, take a bit of damage, and then if I press H on the WebGL build, then it will heal all the health I've taken from the health bar at the bottom right or left. So the stage itself doesn't really use the mechanic as well. It's one of the things I did talk about in my slides for things that would have done better. I think the level design doesn't really fit the mechanics. There was kind of a disconnect there. So there's a lot of stuff like this room where you would jump across them, and then these platforms fall when you stand on them. But you can also just go over here and do this. Hi. Yeah, the enemies only can hit you once. That's another bug I've yet to work out on this. But the shotgun mechanic, the central mechanic of it, I was pretty happy with. It was inspired by the Force of Nature, which is a shotgun that the Scout can use in Team Fortress 2. But I thought it might be interesting to see it in an actual platforming game rather than solely in the multiplayer game. So this is another room where the mechanics kind of don't mesh with the level design. Although there is one cool thing here, one interaction I really like, where this enemy up here, he's just kind of chilling there. You go up to hit him, and the knockback pushes you back down here. And it's kind of a moment of like shock. And I liked how it worked out. It kind of just was more of an accident than anything else, but I think it's a cool moment. And then here's the final room, which you would come up to this bouncy platform and do a bunch of jumps. But again, you can also just jump up here. So it's definitely a big thing I want to do for a extending this game would be a level design being very different. But I do think the base mechanics are, at least, I like the ideas. It's just a lot more polishing needs to be involved. So yeah, this was a kind of difficult thing to work on because almost the entire group was non-game students.
Yeah, and you're not a game student either, right? Are you?
I'm not, but I have a lot of experience with personal projects and game stuff, but not using Unity. So I still had a lot of learning curve there as well. I usually use stuff like Godot in my free time.
Okay. So here's where let's go back a little bit. So if you go back to the exit menu, actually is or this is fine too. This is fine too. So so in terms of level design is an art of itself, and you mentioned there's a couple places where it could have been different and so on. But remember, what you're trying to figure out is what works well. And the only way you can figure this out and how you can carefully craft the experience is, what is the challenge? If you were going to rate each of the levels as a scene, or each part of the level as a scene. So here's a scene. This is the first scene that you're in. And even don't think about scenes as like Unity scenes. I'm talking about like scenes from a movie or a book or some kind of a story, right? My thinking is, why am I here? So why am I in this room? It's the entry level, right? It's the entry place. Here I'm going to learn about what the game is, how to play the game, how to use my mechanics, all those kind of things. So that's the first thing. That's what I would want to have here, right? So what is there that you have in your level right now that teaches the player how to play? Is there something that I mean, besides the shotguns missing and all those things, and some people who've already played a game with a shotgun before or some kind of weapon will know that there's going to be buttons to fire and what's it going to do. The great thing is about your mechanics of the shotgun is it can move you, it propels you, right? That's part of the shotgun mechanic that you have, right? Which looks like it's pretty cool. So what is this scene supposed to be? Not the scene in Unity, the scene here in the game. What is this supposed to be for? Like, what do you think? With the way this level's been crafted already, this one.
So this level as it is kind of functions just as a tutorial from beginning to end. It doesn't really have enough complexity to be anything beyond that. Although I do think, again, a lot of the design wasn't really made with the mechanics in mind.
Yeah.
I think there is still one cool interaction that I really like, another one right here, where if you come to this first enemy, if you think about the gun and you try to shoot them, you hit them, but you would also notice a knockback at the same time, and there's room here to not actually take damage. And so I think I do like the way that it plays together, and I do think it played together a nice way in terms of how it works with learning it. But yeah, it's definitely, the level design is definitely an area that I think a lot of learning can go into. I think it makes sense that it's a career path all by itself.
Yeah, and I think also that this, like you mentioned it also, right? I think what your game needs is more love in terms of, tweaking the colors and the movement and it's very static right now in some ways. Like when you look at the design itself, like when I'm in the level, there's not, and again, I'm not hearing the music or whatever. The music can make a huge difference as well. But there needs to be a few more, like, there's got to be some kind of conflict, right? And the thing is here, although you've got your hazard, it's a static hazard. So really you could hang out here for however long you like, right? There's no danger for you to stay where you are, right? And I think
I did actually want that would solve that, but I didn't actually get the time to implement it, was I just wanted a timer at the top and then displaying the time you got with a high score list at the end of the game. I didn't end up implementing that, but I think making it into a time attack would fit well with the mechanics of being kind of fast-paced.
No, I agree. I think doing something like that where you add a timer mechanic, right, which means now you're on a time limit. If you don't get this done, then you're going to lose, right? You're not going to make it through the game level. I think that's a good one. Timer mechanics are tricky though because they're annoying too, right? Especially if you're close to the end and your time is running out. So this is where, again,
I was thinking counting up rather than counting down. So it's not about running out of time, more that you want to try to get the fastest time and then share your scores with other people and see who got the fastest time.
Fine too, but again, it's like there's no conflict, right? So for hazards, the hazards that you have in the level, active hazards might be a good thing here. Like for example, maybe you can't hang out here for very long. Sure, you can jump over the spike pit that you have here and get around it. There might be an enemy, but either you need some other elements to push you forward, maybe a laser trap or some kind of other turret or something that's going to be in a position where it needs to be pushing you forward, pushing you from one place to the other. And if you don't, then you something that's going to make your life difficult or kill the character, right? So I'm not saying that is the only thing you can do. There's lots of ideas that you can implement here. Like it gets to the point where you're trapped. That might also be something that happens, a moving wall, where when you're on this level, you can cross the spike in it for a bit. And then afterwards, if you don't cross it in time, the walls close in on you and they kill you, or something like that. Or another enemy is spawned, whatever, after a certain time. There's lots of things you can do, a million ideas that can work here. but that's definitely something you can improve. Lighting is also something that you can work with in the scene. I know it's difficult on mobile, but you're playing a non-mobile version, like on the WebGL side. You could use ambient lighting and make the scene a little darker. That could also make a difference, right? In terms of how the level is viewed. So the ambient lights can kind of like things like a glow or something like that, can add to the aesthetic, how it feels when you're playing, and also make it more challenging in terms of moving throughout navigating the level. I think is what's going to make it more interesting. But yeah, but look at your mini map. Your mini map is basically if you're showing enemies, like it's really barren, right, in terms of like what's in there right now. So I think you need to populate the level with more challenges. I think that's the major feedback I would have for you guys more than anything else. But the actual level itself looks interesting to navigate. Like you said before, there might be areas where the mechanic wasn't taken into account. It's not made for the mechanic. But going back to what you said, your team isn't exactly experienced making games, right? So all these things I'm going to take into account, and you have a level, like you can go from one place to the other, and this is a really good first go at creating your kind of a game world. So I think it's pretty good, from what I'm seeing.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some things that are like polish for menu buttons and stuff. I'm not sure if you guys did that with your final version, but all these buttons here
are scaled in the mobile version, so they should appear proper on resolutions. This is just a relic of the old commit.
Yeah, no. I mean, like actually switching out the buttons and make them like images or like more interesting than just like plain buttons like this. Again, maybe that's your aesthetic that you wanted to capture too. I'm not sure, but I probably would have replaced the buttons.
A lot of aesthetic stuff is more down to not really having artists. And so, I mean, even the level geometry is all of this I modeled myself. The only thing I didn't model myself is the shotgun model, which you can't even see right now. But everything else, it's all basic. But I couldn't really find anything low poly that kind of matched the aesthetic I wanted. So
if you mod all this is great. You did this all in Blender?
Yeah.
Wow, I think that's amazing. For as a non-gaming student, that's excellent. That's another success story.
I had a bit of experience with Blender from trying to mess with Mario 64 mods and stuff from years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Well, again, Joshua, you know what? Really happy with what you've got. Again, there's what it needs. If you and I were going to be honest, it needs polish, like you said. It needs lighting. It needs more enemies, a little bit more conflict, more dynamic, kind of, hazards and those kind of things. More feedback for the player. Your shotgun is missing, like you said. Maybe a different weapon that you can pick up as well that gives you different mechanics. So
I
you
did
have
actually have an idea for another weapon, which would be a grapple gun that has sort of a swinging mechanic to it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. A grappling hook or grapple gun. Yeah, those things are neat. Wall running can also work really nicely with your game. Some kind of wall running mechanic or a parkour, right? Which is like kind of in line with what you do. You can shoot, you can jump, you can run on the wall very briefly. You can, swing. You can do all that kind of in the same genre of kind of like a runner that the kind of game that you're making, right? Which is pretty cool. But there should be something chasing you. That's what you're missing. You're missing something that's like giving you that tension that you need to keep moving, because if you don't move, the game is gonna be over, or that kind of thing, to make it that much more challenging. And I think the tension, as the tension rises in the scene, and you can have areas of low tension where you can kind of regroup and pick up weapons and heal yourself and do whatever. But for the most part, it should be areas of real challenge, right? And I think that will make the game great. Okay.
All
right. Thank you for that. What else do we have in terms of anyone else who wants to show me their game or their PowerPoint or anything?
We do not have the PowerPoint as of yet, but I can show the game demo.
Sure. Do it, Crocodile.
Are you able to see the LD player?
Yep.
this is the main menu here. So we have the options and the these are all working here. We can control the volume. And let's start with the game. So basically we got this idea from the Temple Run or the Subway Surfers, right? And we can actually collect all these coins. There are hazards over here. And these are the obstacles. Like if we fall, we fail the game just like that we did in the lab, like this. And for some reason this is buggy, it doesn't work. I'll try to fix that as well. Let me just run it again.
And are you guys gaming students or non-gaming students? Your guys.
I'm non-gaming students, but we have 2 gaming students in our group.
Yeah.
So, but these assets, all these assets are acquired from outside source, and we just have the basic functionality to it. Like the health and these characters we created, the health and the platform here, we added the materials to it and kind of created it on our own. But the blocks and the character is from the Adobe. And these are the obstacles. And once we reach the platform there, we just end the game. We have our inventory here. If we collect the speed like this one here, we activated it. So it should be increased. And we also have the quest here. Like if we pause it, we say quest. So we can activate this quest where we collect at least 10 coins and we get another 10 bonus if we accept it. Now we run it and let's try to collect at least 10 coins. It should automatically update to 20 coins. So our coins got updated to 20 because we collected at least 10 coins, and that's how the quest worked. And the inventory, we haven't collected anything, so it's not popped up here. If we save the game, resume it. We also have a ghost running behind us. If I stop here, the ghost comes and my health decreases. This one button doesn't work properly, so we can just jump and it's a high jump and the ghost can go in between all the blocks here. And that's something we need to take care of, but we thought that it's a ghost, it can go through walls, right?
Now, does it take you to the next level or is that it?
This is it.
Okay. So, I mean, again, I think it's polished for you guys as well. I think the idea of the whole Subway Surfer, very look at an aesthetic to the game, because that's what it looks like. It looks like kind of a type of Subway Surfer or equivalent, is fine. I'm not sure. I think you guys this was your platformer idea, right? Platformer runner shooter.
Yeah. Platformer.
I don't think it's complex enough overall in terms of all the hazards and everything else that you might need, for everything. I'm just being honest. I think there's some elements that probably could be improved or added in terms of the way it works. I mean, the ghost is okay, but it looks pretty rough. You know what I'm saying, in terms of what it looks like. And if you made that in Blender, that's fine. But there's other things you could have downloaded because you had access to the asset store, so you could have downloaded other things to make it more interesting. I might have made the move mechanic, because one of the things that makes the Subway Surfer really run well on mobile is the swipe mechanic. So when you swipe, it transports you from one track to the next, right? So what happens is here you have access to all of it. It's not like you're on a track. This is where the difference is with your game. So you're kind of between tiles, if you will. And in Subway Surfer, it doesn't allow you to do that. It's you're on rails. On Subway Surfer, you're basically, the only thing you can do is go on the top, swing to the right, left, go down, and it's literally just move, kind of this thing is coming at you at a much faster rate than what your game looks like, which is the challenge. And it keeps on speeding up. It goes faster and faster as it goes to. It's got a faster mechanic. And then you can continue to collect points. So that's the one. I know your game is not that game, but that is the game. That'll be my baseline. I'm going to compare it to a game that's already out there. So I'm going to say, okay, so what does Subway Surfer offer? Why would I play your game compared to Subway Surfer? You know, what is that like compared to this one? And the aesthetic is kind of a little bit all over the place, to be honest. So I would have probably, you know, kind of replaced elements in your game to make it closer to one type of look and feel. It's like it has a lot of different elements in there. And I think that takes away from the overall feel of the game. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you know, it's something that I would fix. The menus might be a little bit bigger. I might make all that bigger, and definitely more contrast. You can see here that you've got black on green. That doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? You need to have a lighter color. These things you can easily tweak even today. You know, so we can see what your menu says, right? If I have trouble reading your menu here, it's going to be just as hard on a mobile device. And I don't know what kind of game it is. Like what is the theme of the game? Is it more, because here you've got a jungle, but then what you're showing is not a jungle, right? So if it's going to be a jungle, let it be a jungle throughout the entire game, right?
Okay.
If it's going to be like it looks like you're almost like floating in space. How do you get there? How is this world even a thing, right?
Okay.
Subway Surfer, you're in the subway, right? So it kind of makes sense that you're in the subway. Here, I don't know what you're on, right? So that's what I'm saying. There's some elements of the game that doesn't make any sense. And, you know, it might be fun to play, but long range when it comes to making a game, it's a lot of games have a theme, something that you're going to, that kind of binds everything together, you know, to make sense of the world, right? Because your player, you are going to you're taking in this world and you're like, okay, this is, you know, low poly, okay, fine. But then what elements are making this game really cool to play? What elements make it really good to look at or good to hear? That's what you want to focus on. And I don't think you have that yet. I think you have some good things on the game in terms of movement and everything else, but there's some stuff that you're missing. And I think those are the things that you should look at your requirements again, right? Make sure that you hit all the requirements in order for you to get all your the stuff that you need. And I don't know if you can do that with, you know, with the time you have, which is today. Right?
Okay.
So that's a problem. So I'm going to give you the most marks I can, but the elements that you don't have are where you're going to lose the most marks, right? So,
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Does that make sense for you?
Yep, it does. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else have any other thing they want to show? So yeah. How about Tatiana? Did you have? Are you ready to show anything as well? I'm not sure if you were already part of another team or you're in a different team. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to take it all in, right?
No, as I said, our team didn't have complete the slides yet. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. But what about your game itself, the actual game?
Yeah, our game is ready, but no one is present today.
You're present.
Oh, no, I'm very bad speaker.
No, you're a very good speaker. I like the way you talk. So I think you should try it anyway. And this year, you know, I really like you when you're in my classes, Tatiana. So I think it's a great opportunity for you to try it out now. It's a safe environment. Just show us what you got. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
Right?
but 1 minute, I need time to download.
No problem. Take your time, set up and whatever. But so general feedback, if there's no one else yet to go, general feedback is this, right? Remember what you're trying to do with the game. The game's, our course is really, hey, let's make a first little prototype for WebGL. How did that go? That's our prototype. Does it work? Did I find the fun of the game? Yes, great, capture it. And then if I haven't found the fun of the game, then keep working it until you've found something that's really cool, like Joshua's great little mechanic with the shotgun. I think that's a great idea. You know, that's the stuff that you want to have, right? And then, or even the last game that we just saw with Gurkharat, where you know you have the mechanic where you're being chased the entire time. That's really the mechanic. It's like a Subway Surfer-esque thing that it keeps coming at you, almost like an endless runner. but an endless runner that is in 3D, right? Because that's what Subway Surfer is. And by the way, you can do that. There is an opportunity for you to do that with procedural generation. We talked about a little bit about that in this course, where you can procedurally generate 5 blocks or 10 blocks ahead of you. You don't know what's coming, but it's going to be some chunk that's going to be kind of in place ahead of you as you're running. I think that could be a great little thing, and that's how Subway Surfer kind of does it to some degree. Subway Surfer also has, I'm using that as a baseline. It has twists and turns, so you have to kind of move a little bit to the left and right. It kind of moves the camera for you, but and it also puts you on rails. So those are constraints that make your game more challenging to do. And if you're not careful, you might press over twice and then you're into a wall, you die, right, or whatever. Or you might hit an obstacle, then you also die, right? So there's no life in terms of how many hit points you get. You hit a wall, if you stop, you're dead. You get caught, right? And that's the idea. It's like you're trying to run away from, from the guard, right? That's the idea behind it. And the guard's always behind you running, just like the ghost, which that's where it reminds me very much of Subway Surfer, right? So always think about why, the whys behind where the game is. The aesthetic is part of the story, and the story is about your character. 99% of the things we watch, when we watch a movie or a show, it's about the character. And I don't know, is anyone watching Moon Knight lately? What do you guys think of that show? There's a reason why I'm asking. It's on Disney Plus. Anybody? You can come on the mic, by the way, guys. It's not like we're doing a demo. You says, sadly, I don't really watch anything. Well, okay. So there's a bunch of new shows that have just come out. Okay, so one of them is Moon Knight. Another one is Halo on Paramount Plus. Okay, so Halo is also something that's come out, which is related to games. And I'm not sure if any of you have seen any of those shows. Also, Star Trek Picard. That's a new one that's been out for a while, second season. And there's others. And I think when I watch some of these shows, whether it's Reacher or whether it's any one of the shows, but they have a lot of action. The one thing that always makes me watch the show more is the character. Do I really can I really feel for the character that's in the show? And so too is the character in a video game. If I really like the character, and if I can relate with them, I want to play the game. And that's why a lot of games give you the character optimization or character customization options. Even Elden Ring, where you really don't get to see the character or use, it's just all, it's fluff, it's aesthetic. It doesn't really matter. But think of games like Destiny, where you're playing Destiny, you can really, every time you pick up an item or you pick up a piece of armor or whatever, it customizes the way your character looks and feels. It gives them a little bit of fluff or a different shader or whatever that is being used. People buy shaders all the time, and I'm just thinking about all kinds of games where they just, pick up a shader pack or whatever, and it has no effect on the game itself, but it's the way the character looks. Why? Because it looks cool. Who cares if it looks cool, you might say? I might say the same thing. But the great thing about that is character is story. So if you can relate to your character, all of a sudden you're invested in the story and you want to play the game more. So going back to that, why am I saying all these things? Because it doesn't matter if it's a show or a movie or a video game. Your character has to be, it has to have good motion. You have to have a good feel for the character. It has to look good, aesthetically pleasing for you. If you're a first-person perspective, your weapons have to be cool. The animations have to be awesome. If you don't have those kinds of things, then it takes away from the immersion that we have in our game. There you go. Yeah, and I think that the character is a really important piece of it, right? So I'm thinking about really old games, like really old games, like even simple characters like Pac-Man. Believe it or not, Pac-Man, although it's a really low retro kind of game, is very interesting, right? The whole idea, the aesthetic of the mouth moving around the scene, all right, back in the game in the arcade, was one of the most fun pieces to look at. Angry Birds, even though they look like a fat bird, right? When you pull it back and it goes woohoo, right? It has that whole like, interesting excitement aesthetic. That whole thing is the thing that makes the game interesting to play. It's the characters in the game that even though it's a puzzle game in some ways, it's a physics-based puzzle game with, it doesn't matter. It's the thing that makes the game more interesting. And that's the thing you should think about. Is your character interesting in the game, whether you can see them or not, right? And if the answer is it's not interesting, then you got to think to yourself, why not? What could I do to make it better? So that's where I'm going. That's why I'm saying these things, because a lot of times that leads down the comments are, hey, I think there's something you can do to improve your aesthetic, or there's something you can do to improve the gameplay, or there's some feedback that you haven't been able to give the the player that you're missing because you want to improve the immersion. You want to take away my thoughts of doing anything else but playing the game. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready for you, Tatiana.
Will you hear my
I can't hear you, but I can see your screen right now.
Okay. But don't you hear the voice, the sound from the game? No?
No.
Okay.
You have to share. When you share if you want to try it again, if you stop sharing and reshare, then you can turn on the sounds. There's also an option that you can turn on for original sound on.
Okay, I'll try.
So when you first share your game, on the bottom left corner, there is a share sound button. Do you see it? Or a share sound option?
On the left bottom,
You see it?
I don't see.
Yeah. So when you click on the share sound or share button on the bottom left, usually there's some kind of thing that says share sound, and there's also optimized for video clip. See, there's a couple of check boxes.
Okay, I see.
You can choose. Right.
Let's try again.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. Anyways, oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so here the quest system, it incorporated in tutorial. So the first quest open shop. Then the next quest like build cannon. It's like tutorial with quest system, and then press build button. Build sawmill. Okay, build. Another cannon. And start game. Okay, and we have a lot of enemies. Don't have enough money.
Hey.
Yeah, then we will have another wave of enemies.
Oh, he got through.
Yeah, okay. So we lost one life, and we have 20 waves of enemies, and every wave is more difficult, have more different types of enemies with different like amount of lives in them.
Cool.
In our post menu, we can save this game and then load one of states of the game. And everything some places. And our safe state, it saves the number of waves, the number of enemies, the position of towers, and so on. I think we won't play until the 20 wave.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. So very interesting aesthetic. I like the low poly that you're using, low poly aesthetic. I think it's great. And wow, there's a lot of stuff in there. The inventory system, the way that you purchase towers and they build up and they have little animations that you have. There's a lot of details in here. Who are your partners in this one, Tatiana?
To be honest, my my input in this game not such big, because I have so proficient team members that my input often was like edited and overwritten with more enhanced one. I think our main coders it's Ben, Grant, and Audrey.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's really quite interesting. Like the amount of detail, like I said, that you guys have in this game so far. And I'm trying to think about all the pieces that are involved. I mean, things that could be improved. Let's talk about that, because I've talked about really good things. The build, the money system, all that stuff. Even the I guess the pathfinding that's used for, which is fairly simple for your tower defense game. It's really a lot of good stuff. It'd be nice if, after, X number of waves or something, that the map, continues to change, or the resources are reduced, or something else happens to make the game more challenging. Because if anything, I mean, other than just more enemies, I think because otherwise there's no reason to build different types of towers. Like you have 3 different types of towers, it looks like, if I'm not wrong. But can you show me those again? Can you show me the towers that you have access to when you build towers?
Okay. For the first tower, we don't have enough money to build something more powerful. So, and every tower.
Can you pause can you turn the music off, or no? You don't have the ability to do that, right?
Can actually reduce the volume of the emulator there. Okay.
There we go. Okay. Yes. So I think if you go to shop again on the left, then there are different towers and things you can build, which is interesting. But I think the one thing that you have is it's not like your resources. I haven't seen your resources go down, so it's not like you're like in the actual area, the area resources. So things you could change are resources that diminish, where you have to do some kind of
our coins they decrease every time we shop, we buy tower, and then we should use this sawmill to get the wood to build some more powerful ballista, for example.
No, it's very interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of details here. Like you guys got crazy stuff. So I guess maybe I just need to see the whole thing. But overall, holy crap, that's all I can say. It's there's a lot of stuff you have in this game so far. And this is the mobile version too, which is very interesting. And the fact that dragging and dropping works with mobile and everything. There's a lot of little pieces that are there that you guys have. That works amazing. How about dragging and dropping onto a path? Can you do that by accident?
No. We can drag and drop it only on certain tiles.
Yeah.
So we we cannot put it, for example, here or on the trees or on the path. We can put it only on the free tiles.
Good. No, like I said, there's so many good things about it. So I think, I'm just trying to think about things that you can improve. And I mean, even the buttons and the user interface and everything else, there's a lot of really great stuff that you have. So I'm really happy with your output, honestly. Like there's like, if anything, it just needs maybe a little bit more polish, but a different soundtrack after the first one is done, or a longer one. Some other sounds, little impulse sounds you can make with the actual.
Yeah, we can have some effects, maybe like fire from cannon, something like that.
Yeah, like there's extra little things that you could do to make it even more exciting. And because a lot of times, you know, it's funny, we want to hear those sounds. We're more interested in hearing those sounds than almost anything else sometimes, especially when this kind of game, where we hear like a building sound, like some kind of like, you know, the tree chopping or whatever it is that we have to do.
Yeah.
And so all those little sounds are the things that make the game even that much more exciting. And also things like when you select stuff, you make sounds. When you move things, you make sounds. Swiping sounds. Sounds are amazing things that you can do, but really great stuff. I love your overlays, your tutorials, the reward that you get. Like there's like just amazing amount of detail that you guys have put in. So really great job, Tatiana. Honestly, it's real. I'm really happy.
Honestly,
with your output.
I repeat again, to be honest with you, it's most of it was done by other people. Really, I learned a lot from this project but all my input finally was like edited and enhanced and made more complicated, more interesting maybe.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's
but
okay.
user interface, it's only my thing for
Doesn't
now
matter.
on this screen.
Listen, to me, you know what? I think the great thing about being in a team that's better than you are, that's the best team to be part of. Honestly,
Yeah.
if you can be in a team they're all better than you and you're good, that's great. That's amazing. You're going to have a fantastic game to come out of, right? So that's the way it works out. So, right. Thank you for this. Amazing. Great. You got your team is a great job. You guys put this thing together.
Yeah, thank you.
And you did great. You see, you spoke great, and I love the way you presented. It was fine.
Oh,
So,
thanks.
okay. So, anyone else have anything else to show us before we go? This is really just feedback, preliminary feedback for your game. Anything that you guys want to show? Edgar, did we see your game yet, or no?
No, I
not?
have I have the project open.
Okay. You want to show us, or?
Sure.
Okay.
A second. We don't have the presentation. It's just the game running on Unity.
Yep.
But we have we make a tower defense. So it doesn't have all the feedback like the last team. But here you can build a mining tower to make resources. I can create towers to defense. Right now, the resources is only spending because how is imposed, the start that begins is not making any results, but when I begin the wave, it's going to begin to create resources, and this is going to shoot. Every enemy you destroy leave a coin. That this coin you use for upgrade the tower. Upgrade. That is going to make more damage and shoot more fast. And well, in this wave, it's not enemy can damage the towers, but on the second wave, we have this enemy that this wave damage. So here I need to repair.
Interesting.
So I need the towers. Oh, I don't have money.
It hurt. Oh, you can control the camera too? Wow.
Yes. Just don't remember all the controls, but Yeah, we can make some.
How
Oh,
would that how would that work in mobile? How do you pinch and zoom? How do you
we want
Where's that?
touch. If you make it touch on the ground, you can move the camera. If
Mhm.
you use 2 fingers, you can move the camera around. One
Mhm.
is just for turn around, 2 for move. But if you are, for example, building a tower, you cannot move the camera. It's stuck. After you build something, you can move again. And everything else is just touch, so it's worked on the same way. And
Nice.
basically is again, we have the save that I can just play and load. Oh, I leave at the book that clean they say that every time I run the game. Oops, I need to fix that. But yeah, basic, this is the game.
It's interesting. It's again low poly, when it comes to the actual level design, but you've got a lot of elements in there that are very interesting, and it again, it looks like a real fun game. That it continues the way it is. Definitely not as many, like you said, as many things as the last one we saw. Like they had a
Oh, the
lot.
last one are very good. All the feedback they have. I was
Amazing,
like, oh, I don't want to present it anymore.
No, your game is great too. And I think one thing I would love about your game is the pop-up that comes up in the middle of the screen. I think it's really innovative where it comes up and you see your your inventory system come up. I also like how it slows things down when the game keeps going, so in real time, but things slow down while you're making adjustments or doing whatever.
Yes.
That's a neat mechanic again that you can't really that you don't have to pause the game in order for you to continue, which is kind of cool. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff. I think can you zoom out a little bit with your game so I can see the entire level?
Sure. It's just this.
Yeah. And I think that's something you probably could have made it so that there's more in the level. Like one thing we saw with Tatiana's game was there was like more terrain. Again, this is a different type of aesthetic for yours, so maybe this is what you wanted to capture, which is fine. But I think adding a little bit more detail, even if it's on the base area, like for example in that blue area, if your game is more of a technical type of game, you could have changed the texture to make it look a little bit more interesting in certain places as opposed to very low poly the way it is right now, right? So
Yeah.
again, it really depends on what you're trying to capture. When I'm looking at it, I think it could be made more interesting by adding even like if this was more like a game where you have 2 circuits and you're trying to destroy, a virus. If this is the kind of game you're making, I'm just putting it out there, then maybe make it look more like a circuit, which is kind of looking like. If I look at the circuit, there's like an input and an output, right? It really depends on, what aesthetic you're going for. But I think it's pretty plain in terms of the stuff that you put around the level, right? Even on the walls or anything else. I mean, you have this almost like a skybox that looks like a space, which again is interesting, but the question is why? Like why I would ask, I'm always the kind of gamer that asks like, why is that there? Why is there this procedural skybox or just a skybox texture? Why is it there? Why are we looking into space as opposed to a closed off area that's inside of a room or something? So that's the kind of like, what can you tell me why from that perspective? Like
It's just we only want to put something on the background, so it's no only black.
yeah. So again, these are going back to that. Then think about like what makes this like the why behind the game. The mechanics behind the game is cool, but the why behind the game is what I would ask about.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like our theme is like spaceships. Spaceships are there. So we just put the skybox of space. So
Okay, so spaceships.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
Then what would be really awesome is if in the background you've got other things going on other than just space. Like if this is some kind of like attack that's happening, it'd be really cool if the spaceship was to kind of land every time you have a new set of enemies that come in, like another wave. So spaceship lands, then the enemies get out, and then you see the wave coming, right? And then the spaceship takes off again until the next spaceship comes back to attack the base, right?
Yeah,
It'd be
that
nice
would
if you had that theme. So there's
Mhm.
elements that are, I would say, that can enhance the look and feel of the aesthetic of your game to make it even that much better. Only because of there's just stuff that's missing. Does the game work? Yes, it looks really neat, and some of the towers and the resource creation options are neat. The mechanic of the money and the other stuff that you have, the resources, again, really cool. But just it's a little plain. That's what I don't know. What do you think, Edgar?
Yeah, and this one to be honest, we work more to have something working.
Yeah.
And we didn't give too much attention like on the other, like on game programming.
Yeah.
I think we spend more time, give it more feedback on game programming.
It's hard. And especially when you have two different game projects at the same time, which is what you guys have. And it was, by the way, it was never meant to be that way. It was only supposed to be one per semester.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't supposed to be. But I'm okay with it. I mean, I think you guys did great on the other side, and I think this is interesting as well. So very different games you made on game programming compared to web game. So it's awesome. It's not like it's not complete or anything. It's just me and my brain thinking, if I was going to add something, what would I add? If you were part of my team, Edgar, what would we do to make it even better? And it just more stuff, like more of again, those things, right? So
After seeing the last presentation, I think give like this kind of animation of building, add some HP bar to the torrents, because right now just the enemy have it. I think it needs a lot of adjustment of difficulty, because right now it's kind of easy to complete the game.
That's where I was going to go to. That was the next thing I was going to say. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So that's all part of level design. Like, how do I make it so that the levels become more challenging? Well, you're going to have more enemies, different enemies, like Tatiana was saying, different enemies, more difficult, more weapons. Resources are going to be something you have to balance. Speed of the enemy, where you place the towers, all that stuff, right? Like those are part of the strategy when making a game like this, right? So yeah, but again, I think it's a solid base. I think there's a lot you can add to it. And if I had something like this to start with, right? I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. So great game. Again, I'm really happy with what you guys come out with already. And it's not broken in any way. I don't think that's the things I look for is the game broken or missing important elements. I think your game is not missing important elements. It's missing the environment to make it look nicer. That's all it is. I don't think it's missing like gameplay stuff.
Yeah, the basic gameplay is there.
And there's
very beautiful interface. All
the
interface buttons, all those style.
Yeah, it's but Jerome said it too. Jerome said exactly what I think about as well, which is level design, level creation it's an art form, truly. When you look at the stuff they have for Ubisoft Next, okay, so we talked about Ubisoft Next in the previous class, and I was talking about that with you guys too. Ubisoft Next is interesting in that they have different parts of your they're asking for different areas of competition. Concept art is one of them. Another one is level design. Another one is animation, and there's many different aspects of things, and it all comes together to make your game. So just to Jerome's point, making a level itself, that could be like a bunch of people just spending time putting it together and then going, wow, this doesn't work. Let's play it out. Yeah, that's not quite what we want. It's not long enough, or it's too long, or it's too difficult, or not difficult enough, or it's not flashy enough, or it's not interesting enough, or it's too distracting, or it's too busy, or like we can go back and forth here, and until you come to a point where you hit that sweet spot, that golden middle, if you will, where you have some really great stuff happen, and it needs someone to focus on that throughout the entire time you're developing. Someone who's skilled, who's done it before, who has access to assets, or asset creation. You got someone who can create assets when you need them, the way you want them, all that kind of stuff. It's really challenging. So when I see something like this, it doesn't hurt me. I don't sit there and go like, oh, Edgar, you made a bad thing. No, I'm like, wow, this is really great. What can I think of to make it even better? Right? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not because I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. I think it's great. Right? So, but yeah, Jerome, I agree with you 100%. Because I don't know how many times I've put together a level and I'm like, yeah, that just doesn't work. Hey, look, here's something to share with you guys. I play a lot of, and we've talked about this maybe, I play a lot of tabletop role-playing games and tabletop simulated, strategy games. Like, for example, I play Warhammer 40K and I play Dungeons and Dragons. And I can't tell you how many times I put together a level as a GM for Dungeons and Dragons, and I've almost killed my party. Like really total party kill. And it wasn't made because I didn't want to do that. But I realized after the party was going into it, after I balanced the game and I thought about it and everything else, and I'm like, wow, this is way too difficult. I overestimated what the party could do. I almost killed them all. And I felt terrible afterwards, right? And why? Because it doesn't matter how much experience you have. Guys, I've been doing role-playing games for more than 30 years. And still I can make something that really sucks, right? And why? Because there's people out there that's all they do, right? That's all they do is make levels and create a campaign and make a module that you can share. That's not my full-time job, right? And even with all the experience I have and the enthusiasm and the story writing that I want to do, I come up with stuff and I go, wow, this really sucked. I got to do it again. Or I apologize to the players and say, or get them out of danger. And sometimes, getting the players out of danger and lifting them out of there is also sucky, because they're like, they know they should have died, right? So there's an art to it. It's an art to it, and it doesn't happen as often anymore. Because I'm more of a careful person than I used to be. When I was younger, there was a lot of procedural storytelling going on, and I try and take a lot of that out by more planning and more planning and more planning, right? So yeah, I agree with you, Jerome. That's the answer. All right, thank you so much, Edgar. Any comments at all by anybody else? So even you, Edgar, anything else you want to add before we go?
For me, no.
Great. All right, anyone else want to show me their stuff before we end for the day? Let me just reshare my screen while you're going back to that, just for some parting words and some thoughts. So remember, our final presentation this week is due on Friday at midnight. The final version of your game, your code complete, is due tonight at midnight. So anything you're going to tweak or whatever, if you're going to tweak anything, is tonight. Which means if you're thinking about making sweeping changes, crazy additions or subtractions or something like that tonight, it's a bad idea. Tonight's all about little tweaks, something you're going to adjust because you want to, GitHub is fine, Gurgadat. Yeah. As long as I have access to it and I can play your game, I'm happy, right? If I have a gameplay video, and I have access to your code through we'll do that for sure. Any other comments or questions at all? So again, Friday, everything is due. That means your final presentation, your video, and tonight is your code complete. Your final version of your code, or assignment 2 part 3 is due tonight at midnight. So it was originally due on Sunday. So if any kind of tweaks or whatever you have to do, but Sunday was Easter Sunday, so we moved it till today. So today is where the due date is. Okay. If anything else you want to add it today is the answer. Okay, any questions before we go for the day? Because I don't want to keep you guys. For those people who are here, and thank you, Doyun, for those people who are here and who I'm not going to see again over the summer, until maybe we meet each other again next semester or the semester after, thank you so much for attending. I really appreciate the time and effort that I had, the core group of people that kept coming on Mondays and on Fridays, that attended, that asked the questions, that participated, that assisted. You know, special shout out goes to Doyun and to Edgar and to all the other people that were here on a regular basis that were helping out Mitt and everyone else who were here. I really appreciate that because it makes my my job more fulfilling when I'm able to see some people. Remember, we're working remotely. I haven't had a chance to meet with you guys in person. That would have been awesome. And I'm really hoping to have a chance to see you guys again before some of you graduate. And I know some of you might be doing that already, depending on what year you're in, and depending on what program you're in. If you're in a 2-year or 3-year, it really depends. So if we don't have a chance to see each other again, then guys, good luck. Jerome's asking if I'm teaching anything else. I am teaching Comp 229, which is actually it's one of my specialties as well. It's using it's actually creating a mean stack. Because I'm also on the website. I teach web development, so I'm doing Comp 229, which is Node.js and TypeScript, JavaScript, all that kind of stuff, as well as Angular on the front end or React. So I might do React this time around as we were heading into the summer semester. So yeah, I designed that course. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Thank you so much, Doyun. I really appreciate the fact that you're here with us and everything else. And for all the people that have been, again, that have attended and that have, you know, kind of added their participated and everything else. Andy, who's always been asking questions and trying to, you know, like, look, guys, for me, when you guys ask me questions and I'm able to answer or help or whatever, it makes my job, you know, that much more rewarding because, you know, what is my job but other than to serve you guys, right, as much as possible. So thank you for being, you know, patient with me, especially throughout this entire weird time that we've had. And again, for those people, if you've submitted what I've asked you, you know, then expect reasonable marks. I think you're going to see that you're going to be quite delighted in terms of what you're going to get back from me, because at the end of the day, my thoughts are always for how to make your experience better, right? So thank you for everything, Andy, as well, and really looking forward to working with you guys again. If you haven't had a chance, thank you so much. Yep. If you haven't had a chance to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do so. I want to keep connecting with you guys. I want to know about your story as you move out of Centennial and continue on your journey as a game developer or as a software engineer or wherever you're gonna end up. Please stay connected with me. It makes me feel awesome. That's my biggest reward when I see one of you guys, you know, make it big. And you know, maybe sometimes what I also do is, depending on the course, I ask alumni to come back and talk, have a conversation with students and say, hey, this is what I did, this is where I went, and this is what ended up happening, right? So students love that kind of stuff, to talk to an alumni, right, alumnus or alumna, and kind of talk about how things went, right? So please keep connected with me. I think there's always opportunities in the future for us to work together again. Okay, so guys, thank you so much, and stay safe, and we'll see each other soon. For those people who are still I haven't seen for Friday, and if you're watching this video, I'll see you on Friday and we'll have those conversations. If one of you guys, anyone from here wants to talk to me again on Friday before your final submission, again, our course is on Fridays at 10:30. It's going to be the same link, so you can always jump in at the 10:30 link on Friday if you have any questions you want to ask before your final submissions. Okay, guys. Otherwise, take care. Thank you.
Thank you,
And we'll see you
Professor.
soon.
Thank you for
Thank you
this
so much.
semester.
Thank you.
Thank you
Take
so much.
care.
Yeah, take care, guys. Really appreciate you
you.
guys coming.
Thank you, Professor.
Take care. Thank you so much. I'll stop recording now.